You know, if you're on social media every day, our feeds are flooded with miracle longevity tests that promise to predict the future. But in a world of endless data, how much of it is actionable? Joining us today to cut through the noise is board-certified internist and CEO of the American Medical Association, Dr. John Whyte. Welcome back, Dr. Whyte.
Thanks for having me.
Okay. I feel like I'm constantly bombarded with images of my friends scanning their bodies in machines. Like, what are the good tests? What are the exciting tests? What should we know about?
Sure. And one of the best tests for longevity that most people haven't heard is this VO2 max test, which is the maximum oxygen capacity during intense exercise.
We've done this.
Yes, we have. And this is actually me doing it. What I love about it is it measures how well your heart is functioning, how well your lungs are breathing, how well your blood vessels are transporting oxygen, and even your muscles. But as you see here, the challenge that we were talking about
It's
is
very claustrophobic.
you have to wear this mask.
Yeah.
I don't
And
like
this mask can make you feel claustrophobic. As we talked about, it fogs up. You feel like
But it's not that
you're not
long.
getting... It can be about 12 minutes, which
so-
feels like an hour
It
for
feels
some
like
people.
2 hours
Yeah.
with that
Yeah.
mask on. It really
But
does.
it's going to give you a very good measure of your longevity, and it's independent of age.
Okay. And do you have to go to a lab for that, or?
Most of the time, you do have to go to a lab or a gym. A lot of health centers have it in hospitals, but our watches also can give you a score. It's not as good as the actual test that we saw, but you can look at trends, and that can give you some advice as to what you should do to improve that.
And what about these full body scans?
Yeah, everyone's talking about these
Do
scans.
I need to get a full body scan? I feel like I'm pretty healthy.
And the question really is, why do you want to have it done? For most people, it's really about peace of mind. The challenge is sometimes it can make you more anxious because what they do, and there's different types, there's a CT scan, there's an MRI, there's a PET scan, it's going to find these very small lesions, maybe on your liver, on your lungs, and that sounds really scary, Kelly. But what happens is a lot of times it wasn't going to lead to anything, and you get subjected to a lot more tests and cause anxiety. And some tests can cause problems. Now, I've had patients that have had these tests. I remember a firefighter from a couple years ago, turned out he had thyroid cancer. We may not have seen that, but I can tell you about 30 other patients that had the full scan, and then they had all these other tests and were anxious, and it turned out to be nothing. So the better idea is talk to your doctor about your symptoms, right? Why do you want to have it? And you might need a more targeted scan.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. All right,
Okay.
we're going to take a break. When we return, Dr. Whyte will tell us about some of the essential at-home tests that we should be aware of. Stick around.
We're back with Dr. John Whyte, CEO of the American Medical Association. Can you tell us about some of these at-home tests for like screenings of colon cancer, cervical cancer, that kind of thing?
Sure. It's really good news that we have these tests that you can do at home to screen for cancer. And the first one is colon cancer. It's the third leading cause of death. I'll tell you, that's the test that people call me and say, oh, they forgot it was this day. Or,
Right.
you know, they didn't have a ride home, which is
Right.
a requirement. And that's because they just don't want to undergo the procedure.
Right.
But now at home, you can collect your stool and you can send it in to the lab, and it'll tell you whether or not you have colon cancer.
And how reliable?
They're very reliable, as reliable as a colonoscopy. The challenge is, if it's positive, then they can't do anything right then.
Then
You're going to have
still
to have a
have to have a
colonoscopy.
colonoscopy.
So some people just like to get it all done
Right.
at once, and others kind of want their privacy but not do
Yeah.
it. And the other one is cervical cancer, which we didn't have in the past, an at-home kit that you can order. And instead of taking the day off to go to your OBGYN or family physician, you can do the swab at home yourself and send it in. So
That's
it makes
incredible.
it easier. And I think we're going to see more of these tests at home.
What about genetic testing?
Yeah. Genetic testing that's when you swab your cheek and you send it in, and that's going to look for the cancers that have an inherited mutation. And I think for people that have a family history of cancer, particularly in multiple members or at an early age in the 30s and the 40s, these are going to help tell you whether you're at increased risk. It doesn't tell you that you have cancer, but it'll say you might need to be
You may have a
screened more
gene
frequently.
mutation.
That's right.
Right.
But it's also not a get out of jail free card. So if it's negative, it doesn't mean that you still might not get cancer.
What about multi-detection tests?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Where it's a blood test, where in theory it's saying, I'm going to look for these tiny fragments of DNA that may indicate cancer. And that sounds great. The problem is most of these tests don't tell me where it is or what type of cancer it may be, or if it would actually progress to cancer.
Wow.
They're not ready for prime time yet for general screening. I think we might get there, Kelly, in a few years, but right now, unless you have a reason, a family history or cancer, it's not the right test for you right now.
What are some of the biggest mistakes people make when they're chasing longevity tests?
We're looking for the most complicated, latest gadget, and what it all comes down to are kind of the basics, that you try to be active 150 minutes a week, that you aim for 7,000 to 8,000 steps. You don't have to do 10,000 steps a day, that you eat healthy. You know, food is medicine. The dietary guidelines are coming out today. Let's use food to help us live longer. So we want to use these tests as tools, but we don't want to get obsessed with them and then forget the basics.
Right. I definitely borderline on obsessed with my devices. I definitely...
A lot of us are.
If I have a good night's sleep and my ring tells me I have not had a good night's sleep, my day is ruined.
Yeah, it's like,
so
that
wild.
is a problem.
Yeah,
Wild. Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. White.
Thank you.
Dr.
Yeah,
White.
go to our website for more information.